You know what they say, the best in Ohio, stay in Ohio.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to a Monday edition of Locked On Buckeyes. Here on Monday, June 24th in the year 2024. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. We all hear it. We all say it. It's a true statement as well. The best in Ohio, stay in Ohio. And Ohio State's quest to build not only the best recruiting class in 2025, but also to build have the same mindset while recruiting the classes of 2026, 2027, and beyond. There's going to have to be extra effort put into getting the guys inside the state of Ohio to stay in Ohio. Why? Because now you got more teams playing in the Midwest that are going to be getting an eye and a look on the talent that is inside the state of Ohio. Which is why when you find out there's not one, but two players in one weekend that are InState Prospects committed to Ohio State, it makes you happy. One of them was Jake Cook. He is a 6'5", 295-pound center from Westerville North, and then also Bodpin Miller, and I hope I said his first name correctly, out of Mansfield, Ohio, Ontario High School, 6'4", 180 pounds. I want to get to Cook later on in the show, but Bodpin Miller is one of those guys that Heartline saw in camp. He saw him work, saw him grind, and he said, hey, man, look, we got to put a lockdown on this state. We got to make sure we're keeping our guys home on home turf. And this is what not just the coaches have been trying to strive for, but Ryan Day as a whole has been trying to strive for as well. And his efforts, they're not being unnoticed by the players, and we're seeing a lot of fruit from their work and the commitments in this class. This is a great start. 18 commits so far right now. This is where Ohio State wants to be. They have not answered and filled in every spot that needs to be filled in this current recruiting class. However, you got to give it to Ryan Day. During a busy weekend of official visits, they didn't just focus on the big guys, the 5-stars, the guys that were coming in, Davis Sanders Jr., Jordan Davis, and Dorian Brew, and the others. No, they also focused on their home guys, the guys that were at home. They're not 5-stars. The guys we're speaking about today that committed to Ohio State, they're not 5-stars. What are they? They are talented players that may be projects that can do good things in the Buckeye uniform in the future. So what do? You focus on them. You get them in here. It may be a recruiting camp, may it be an official visit, whatever it may be. You get them in here and you realize, hey, we had a spot for you. And now in Miller's case, the spot for him is not his primary position in high school, as Bodpin Miller is a quarterback at Ontario High School in Mansfield, Ohio. But what he provides as a quarterback is something that Heartline wants to tap into when he is playing the football in Columbus. His athleticism, his length, all of those things, those two things go hand in hand, and also the 4.4 speed that he has as well that he clocked at Ohio State during his summer recruiting camp. All of those things go into why Miller is going to be a guy that the Buckeyes really want in their recruiting class. Now, here's one thing about him. When I think about Miller, the quarterback, is he a good enough quarterback to play quarterback at Ohio State? Well, Tavian St. Clair's in there, and so it makes me wonder, could he be good enough to be a second quarterback in this class? No. The numbers he had last year as a junior, 2,300 passing yards, 19 passing touchdowns. He did run for 1,003 rushing yards with 17 more touchdowns scored on the ground. So he is a guy that's a threat as a quarterback on the ground and with his arm. And the film I saw with him as quarterback, it was one that was like, okay, he's a high school starting quarterback. He might be able to play at a G5 level or maybe a D2 level, which isn't a knock, but it's not receiver. What got him to commit to Ohio State, or what caught Heartline's eye first for him to say, hey, you young man, you are a guy that needs to come here and play receiver? It was the recruiting camps. There's a guy locally that I've been trying to follow his recruitment, and he just committed to a school. He got an offer at a recruiting camp. These recruiting camps are huge, and they allow players that maybe they haven't been in front of the coaches at Ohio State as much as they would like to, or maybe not at all. And what do the camps do? You go there, you camp, as they call it, in front of the coaches, and you just work out. You do your thing. You are a player that is trying to impress somebody, and while you're trying to impress the coaches, you might get an offer along the way. That's what came for Bodpin Miller. He ended up getting an offer on a Tuesday. He committed a few days later on that Friday and said, look, I have seen enough. I have gotten the offer from the school that I want to get that offer from. This is great. He chose Ohio State over other Power 4 schools that also offered him in Boston College, Northwestern, and Iowa State. And when trying to project where Miller may be on the field, he's a 2 or 3 year project. I don't expect him to be a guy that is playing 5 or more games at Ohio State during his freshman year. I see him being at 6'4", 180. He already has a height. He's going to have to add on some muscle to his frame, which when you watch the film, you will see that he is a very thin-framed individual. But you'll also need to make sure he understands the nuances of route running. And Hartline at the camp gave Miller some things to work on. So he is already doing those things very, very well and working on those things that his future receivers coach, assuming Hartline is still at Ohio State, that he will have him work on and do those things when he's actually there on campus. But this is huge. I mean, this is big. You get a guy in state. You know he's a project, but he possesses things that allows you to be better now. Miss me with all of the conversations that may be out there. Oh, he's a 3-star. Oh, he's at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the recruiting class as far as his ranking. Don't care. Watch the film. That's the problem. You go out there and try to watch some clips of him playing receiver, you won't find much because it's not really his primary position. He does play quarterback, and he's playing quarterback in his senior year as well. So that goes into why he is more of a 2 or 3 year project at receiver. You need these kind of guys on your team. And also, you need to be able to recruit these guys and send a message to players out there that say, hey, look, I want to play at Ohio State. I don't have an offer. I haven't been in front of the coaches as much as I would like, or maybe not at all. How can I get an offer to Ohio State? How can I get that thing that I want so I can commit to play at Ohio State? Recruiting camps. Now, some people might say, Jay, no, it's a little new age. It doesn't really work. It does. Both of the players that committed at Ohio State over the weekend committed by got offers by going to recruiting camps. And Jake Cooks, when I'm talking about him later, his story is a little bit different than Miller's. He's not changing positions as far as going from quarterback room to receiver room. He's still playing offensive line, but his story about getting the commitment in the offer, it's a great one. We'll talk about that one next. But Bodpin Miller, happy for him, 6'4", 180-pound receiver from Mansfield, Ohio, got that offer to Ohio State that he wanted, just like Jake Cook did. Jake Cook got the offer, and he committed. And we'll tell you about his story and why this is a big deal for the Buckeyes coming up next on the show. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. I love sports. I love them so much, I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games, and the sports aren't sporting like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Not one, but two players from the state of Ohio committing to the Buckeyes in a 3-day span. That's amazing. It's great what Ryan Day is currently doing right now on the recruiting trail. Currently having 18 players committed in the 2025 recruiting class. That's a great place to be right now, but the work is not done because the Buckeyes need more offensive linemen with the mindset, with the work ethic that Jake Cook has. Jake Cook, 6'5", 295-pound offensive lineman from Westerville North High School in Westerville, Ohio. He is someone, though, when I was looking into his story, trying to figure out what this means for him and what it means for Ohio State. It kind of, his story is great, but also he possesses things that the Buckeyes want in offensive linemen. Think about this story because I think you're going to like it like I will. There's a part here that I did not like. It comes very early. Jake Cook was someone that was trying to get an offer from Ohio State, and just like Bob Penn Miller earlier in the show, he went to recruiting camps. Went to one, didn't do anything. He went to another workout, didn't happen. And after both sessions concluded, this offer that he was trying to get, it didn't come initially, and this young man got disappointed. And I'm not going to lie to you. I probably would be a little bit as well, knowing that I dropped 40 pounds to get to where I currently am physically. I have that mental makeup and the mental fortitude that the Buckeyes want in a player, at least right now, that they're recruiting. So I got something that they're looking for. I got a little bit of work ethic in me. I got a lot of good things that the Buckeyes want. However, the offer didn't come. And so eventually he got a call on Father's Day, the Saturday before Father's Day from Justin Fry. And this thing here is a little bit interesting because as he's talking and telling the story, I'm sitting here thinking, oh man, this is where things started to pop. I'm just going to read this to you verbatim. Quote, he called me. This is Jake Cook talking. Quote, he called me and asked what I was doing. I was just chilling and had just gotten done golfing. He asked me what I got my dad for Father's Day. Admittedly, I told him I still needed to go do that. He told me, how about for Father's Day, you take him to Ohio State on an official visit next week, and you announce your commitment while we're all at dinner. End quote. So, of course, he says what? Justin Fry comes back and says, yeah, man, you've got an offer to Ohio State now. That's one of those things that you love. One, this young man has already dropped 40 pounds to get to the physical shape that he's currently in. Two, he is working out at Ohio State. Not just one workout, two workout. Got a little bit disappointed, but on Father's Day, he gets to celebrate with his dad, which is a big deal. Hey, I got an offer to Ohio State, the school that I want to get that offer from, and we're going to go there on that official visit and do this whole thing together. That's huge. That is great. And Jake Cook, when I watch him play football, there are a lot of things that I like, which is why when I was going back and looking at recruiting rankings, of course, everyone knows I generally use 247 Sports recruiting rankings just to make it uniform. So there's no Jay's using ESPN here or On3 here or 247 Sports 5 shows in a row. Then he goes back to ESPN, then Rivals. No. But On3, what I like there is that they'll give you all 4 of the major recruiting databases, recruiting rankings right there on their website. And On3, of course, is at the top. They give him he's a 3-star prospect, 82nd overall interior offensive lineman, 45th player in the state of Ohio. But then Rivals has him as a 4-star recruit, 201 nationally, the number 9 interior offensive lineman in the class, and also the 11th best player in the state of Ohio. Which is why I do believe it does, like Brian Smith says, it does good to check other recruiting databases because there's not one that's right. And if one has you a little bit higher or a lot higher than others, you might be in between, but that's also a good gauge to say your film and the camps, you're doing a lot of good things right. Now, with Jake Cook being an in-state kid, he is also the second offensive lineman that's committed to the class, with the other being Carter Lowe, who is also an in-state prospect. And Ohio State needs more guys like this. Now, if Carter Lowe and Jake Cook are the only two offensive linemen that the Buckeyes have in this current recruiting class, there's a big problem, a big, fat problem, because you cannot roll into 2025. You don't want to, and you can. You don't want to roll into 2025 with your recruiting class being only with two offensive linemen and them being Carter Lowe and Jake Cook. Not saying they're bad players. It would end up meaning that you're missing out on guys like Davis Sanders Jr. and other guys that are priority, not just for Ohio State, but priority for other elite schools in the country. And so Jake Cook's one of those guys. I do think, hey, year two, if you keep that same work ethic, if you keep that same versatility as this year, he's going to be playing all five offensive lineman spots, and then they can wait. So you played left tackle a lot last year. A lot of that was on the film. But you're also not just playing left tackle. You're playing center and left guard and right tackle. That versatility, especially the way the Buckeyes have been dealing with injuries at various positions. Let's hope they don't have to deal with injuries at any position. But if they have injury issues on the offensive line while Jake Cook is at Ohio State, buddy, that's going to be great. That's going to be huge. His versatility might be tapped into in the future, especially this year. Think about this. This is a year Ohio State's bringing in Seth McLaughlin to start at center. Now, do I think Seth McLaughlin is a better starting center than Carson Hinzman? Y'all know me. I am partial to having Hinzman start at center, but let's just say you have McLaughlin at center, Hinzman at right guard, Fryer at right tackle. That might be the combination they roll out with, and it might be the best combination they have this year. But what is one thing we know about Hinzman and Fryer? I believe Fryer would be a better guard than tackle. I think Hinzman can play center or guard. So that versatility is not only one thing Ohio State wants on their offensive lineman. Jake Cook is doing the same thing in high school. Now, do I expect him to play all five offensive line spots at Ohio State? Absolutely not. And if he has to, hopefully it's just because not out of just not having enough good guys at the beginning of the season. Hopefully it's because, well, unfortunately, guys get hurt. He's going to have to be very versatile. But let's just hope that does not happen. Also, it'd be kind of weird if that was the case. Jake Cook, Bodpin Miller, two guys, InState Prospects, committing to Ohio State. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. One thing I don't want more of is expansion in collegiate athletics, but it looks like we're going to get more of it. This episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts, for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen every day. Expansion is one of those things, and when I hear that word in the context of collegiate athletics, a lot of times I start to cringe, get a weird feeling, because a lot of the ways to talk about expansion, they're not good for the sport. Think about it. You got expansion in conferences. It's not really the best thing for the sport. You have expansion in college football, in the playoff. First off, you had to expand to get a playoff in 2014, starting in that season. And then this year, expanding again from a 14-team playoff to a 12-team playoff. The belief is in a couple of years, we'll go from a 12-team playoff to a 14-team playoff, and that 14-team playoff. And that 14-team playoff was even speculated before the 12-team playoff was even actually happening. So you go from 4 to 12, or 2 to 12, 2 to 4 to 12 to 14 in college football. Doesn't make any sense. And it surely seems like we're going to get more expansion in the NCAA tournament. Why? 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 Buddy, this don't make no sense. Why expand a tournament when what you got right now is already too big? And this is something that was talked about recently, and the ACC commissioner, James Phillips, talked about it. It does look like the NCAA tournament could add more teams, could expand from 68 teams to 72 teams or to 76 teams. This is according to the ESPN, the worldwide leader. The last time the men's tournament expanded, it was from 65 to 68. That was in 2011. The women's tournament expanded from 64 to 68 in 2022. Oh, why would basketball make the tournament bigger? Money. Absolutely. Dollars and cents. Sounds just like why the Big Ten's expanding from 14 teams to 18 teams. It's exactly why the Big 12 has expanded and the SEC expanded and the ACC. You're the Atlantic Coast. You're having schools in your conference that are on the Pacific Coast. Why? One, for Cal and Stanford out of necessity for them to be in a conference, but also for you, money. Money is driving so much in this sport, in the athletic realm of collegiate athletics, and it's really annoying. It's really, really silly to allow the dollars and cents that are getting so large and expanding at a great rate to really cause a lot of things to change in the way that they are right now. Buddy, this don't make no sense to me. Now, making decisions based off money, I wouldn't do that. But also, this is billions of dollars we're talking about. Of course, if that's all your focus, billions of dollars, yeah, you're going to do it. But is it what's best for the sport? Absolutely not. And I'm not going to try to yell, even though I'm annoyed that my voice in the volume of my voice is raising a little bit. But this is really annoying. Here we go again. Allowing the almighty dollar to dictate things. And I was listening to a podcast, and this may have been 2017 or 2018. Joe Dexter and I had a female co-host. I forget her name. I forget the show's name, honestly. But they had a segment and talked about a long time ago the power of the almighty dollar and how it's changing things in college football. Maybe somebody, Claire Crawford, I think is her name. Maybe, I forget. The show has not been around for a while, so I forget exactly who it is. But the exact names of the people in the show. But this was back way before the almighty dollar in college football hit me like a ton of bricks and said, oh, this is why this was happening. I was a college football fan, but I wasn't digging deep into the sport like I am now. It's changing so much. And the ACC commissioner made this statement, and I hope he thought about this thoroughly and has thought about it since, because, well, what he prefers is not something that I think needs to happen or would even prefer. Quote, it is appropriate to look at expansion, and we need to do that. We're looking at it. When do you get to the point when the regular season doesn't matter? Modest expansion is something I would prefer, end quote. Sir, how many people actually focus on the regular season like they used to? Not as many. You're an Ohio State basketball fan, some of you are. Not all, but some of you right now, you love Ohio State football. You dabble with Diebler's boys, as we're going to call them from now on. And what are you going to do? You're going to watch some basketball. Now, I will say this. I'm looking forward to Diebler's boys playing basketball way more than I was watching Holtman's boys play basketball, because with Holtman's boys, you knew how the season was going to start. You know how the middle was going to go. You know how it was going to go. They got the Big Ten play. You know what was going to happen in the Big Ten tournament. They shocked me a couple times, but you know exactly what was going to happen in the NC2A tournament. Hopefully, Diebler's boys get things a little bit different. They do play a little bit better and have more results. And, well, the NC2A tournament does not continue the trend that Ohio State is on of not making it past the first weekend of the tournament. But some of you are Ohio State basketball fans. Do you focus? Now, this is for a question for some of you that have been basketball fans for Buckeyes for a long time. Do you focus on the Buckeyes regular season as much as you used to? Probably not. I can't say no to everybody. I'm sure some people do, but probably not. Now, this is for the college basketball fans. Some of you that might identify more as a college basketball fan. Do you focus on the regular season as much as you used to? Probably not. Some of you might, but probably not. The reason why I don't know, I do for this, but the reason why I don't do it for North Carolina and for IU and for the schools that I've been watching in Butler like I have been for my entire life, but the transfer portal has made things so hard to really understand and know who's on what school, what team. It's very, very difficult. The thing is that people want to focus on, the one and done is a problem. The one and done started it. But now with the portal, there's so much movement. It's very, 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 very hard to keep up with what is going on with this sport, with the players, and knowing who is where. So if you're going to talk about, hey, well, at what point the regular season, blah, 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 does it not matter? A lot of people think it doesn't matter right now. I am a person that still believes the regular season does matter. Why? Because you're playing games that will help you get into postseason tournaments. Buddy, that matters. But there's also this. College basketball is putting themselves in a bad spot with the sport. It's not as popular as it used to be, and a lot of it is because you just don't know who is where. College football is really close to being in the same spot. Why? Because with the transfer portal moving and players moving as much as they are, there's going to be a time period that there will be we're at 12. Over half of the teams in the playoff will have starting quarterbacks that weren't there in the previous season. Now, you may say, Jay, there's nothing wrong with that. Is that what is best for the sport? I would say no. Because if I'm an Ohio State fan, or maybe you're a Notre Dame fan, and hopefully not a Michigan fan, whatever you're a fan of, you want to know the players on your team. And some of you follow them from when they're sophomores, juniors in high school, when they first get on Ohio State's radar, or you hope a player in your area gets on Ohio State's radar, then all of a sudden, what do you find? Well, they're on the radar, which is great. But then they go to Ohio State, they transfer, they leave after 1 year. Man, the same thing is hurting college basketball. It's hurting college football. The college football's popularity is better than college basketball. Will not ever be that. And even with expansion in college football, I don't think expansion on the college basketball side will hinder the basketball in college like it will hinder the football in college. Because we're fanatics, man. I include myself in that. We are fanatics. How many college basketball fanatics do you see out there in the masses? They're out there, but it's not like college football, man. This sport's a little bit different. But both sports, even though they're different, they need to have one thing similar and stop the expansion madness. But unfortunately, it's not going to happen. Y'all, we are up out of here on a Monday. Got a lot of good stuff coming your way. Going to have to get Brian Smith in early, hopefully earlier in the week than normal, just due to some scheduling conflict. And I'm hoping things work out to get Brian on the show earlier than our typical spot of a Friday show. Also, tomorrow's my birthday. That don't mean the show's going anywhere. I just might have maybe a special hat. So I don't know. We're going to see. But the pod will still be here tomorrow on Tuesday and throughout the rest of the week. And make sure you subscribe to Locked On Buckeyes on the YouTube or wherever you get your audio podcast, Apple, Spotify, or any podcast app you like to use. Also, follow me on X at jstevens07. Send every single email to jstevens317@gmail.com. Let's have been Locked On Buckeyes on a Monday. We'll see you next time.